May our Father, Messiah, and Holy Spirit with us. I'm going to read 2 Shemu'ėl 11. At the turn of the year, the season when kings go out to battle, David sent Joab with his officers and all Israel with him, and they devastated Ammon and besieged Rabbah. David remained in Jerusalem. Late one afternoon, David rose from his couch and strode on the roof of the royal place, and from the roof he saw a woman bathing. Sorry about that. The woman was very beautiful, and the king sent someone to make inquiries about the woman. He reported, "She is Bathsheba, daughter of Elam, and wife of Uriah the Hittite." David sent messengers to fetch her. She came to him, and he lay with her. She had just purified herself after her period, and she went back home. The woman conceived, and she sent word to David, "I am pregnant." Thereupon David sent a messenger to Joab, "Send Uriah the Hittite to me." And Joab sent Uriah to David. When Uriah came to David, David asked him how Joab and the troops were faring, now the war was going. Then David said to Uriah, "Go down to your house and bathe your feet." When Uriah left the royal palace, a present from the king followed him. But Uriah slept at the entrance of the royal palace, along with the other officers of his master, and did not go down to his house. When David was told that Uriah had not gone down to his house, he said to Uriah, "You just came from a journey. Why didn't you go down to your house?" Uriah answered David, "The ark and Israel and Yehuda are located at Succoth, and my master Joab and your majesty's men are camped in the open. How can I go home and eat and drink and sleep with my wife as you live by your very life? I will not do this." David said to Uriah, "Stay here today also, and tomorrow I will send you off." So Uriah remained in Jerusalem that day. The next day David summoned him, and he ate and drank with him until he got him drunk. But in the evening Uriah went out to sleep in the same place with his master's officers. He did not go down to his home. Uriah was thorough. In the morning David wrote a letter to Joab, which he sent with Uriah. He wrote in the letter as follows: "Place Uriah in the front line where the fighting is fiercest, then fall back so that he may be killed." This is sad. So when Joab was besieging the city, he stationed Uriah at the point where he knew that there were able warriors. The men of the city sallied out and attacked Joab, and some of David's officers among the troops fell. Uriah the Hittite was among those who died. Dang. Joab sent a full report of the battle to David. He instructed the messenger as follows: "When you finish reporting to the king all about the battle, the king may get angry and say to you, 'Why did you come so close to the city? Why did you come so close to the city to attack it? Didn't you know that they would shoot from the wall who struck down Abimelech, son of Jerubbesheth? Was it not a woman who dropped an upper millstone on him from the wall at the vest from which he died? Why did you come so close to the wall? Then say your servant Uriah the Hittite was among those killed." The messenger set out. He came and told David all that Joab had sent him to say. The messenger said to David, "First the men prevailed against us and sallied out against us into the open. Then we drove them back up to the entrance to the gate. But the archers shot at your men from the wall, and some of your majesty's men fell. Your servant Uriah the Hittite also fell." Whereupon David said to the messenger, "Give Joab this message: Do not be distressed about this matter. About the matter, the sword also always takes its toll. Press your attack on the city and destroy it. Encourage him." When Uriah's wife heard that her husband Uriah was dead, she lamented over her husband. After the period of mourning was over, David sent and had her brought into his palace. She became his wife, and she bore him a son. Wow. But our Father in heaven was displeased with what David had done. And our Father in heaven sent Nathan to David. He came to him and said, "There were 2 men in the same city, one rich and one poor. The rich man had very large flocks and herds, but the poor man had only one little ewe lamb that he had brought. He tended it, and it grew up together with him and his children. It used to share his morsel of bread, drink from his cup, and nestle in his bosom. It was like a daughter to him. One day a traveler came to the rich man, but he was loath to take anything from his own flocks or herds to prepare a meal for the guests who had come to him. So he took the poor man's lamb and prepared it for the man who had come to him. David flew into a rage against the man and said to Nathan, "As our Father in heaven lives, the man who did this deserves to die. He shall pay for the lamb 4 times over, because he did such a thing and showed no pity." And Nathan said to David, "That man is you." Thus said our Father in heaven, the Elohim of Israel: "It was I who anointed you king over Israel, and it was I who rescued you from the hand of Saul. I gave you your master's house in possession of your master's wives, and I gave you the house of Israel and Yehuda. And if that were not enough, I would give you twice as much more. Why then have you flouted have you flouted the command of our Father in heaven and done what displeases him? You put Uriah the Hittite to the sword. You took his wife and made her your wife, and had him killed by the sword of the Ammonites. Therefore the sword shall never depart from your house, because you spurned me by taking the wife of Uriah the Hittite and making her your wife. Thus said our Father in heaven, I will make a calamity rise against you from within your own house. I will take your wives and give them to another man before your very eyes, and he shall sleep with your wives under this very sun. You acted in secret, but I will make this happen in the sight of all Israel and in broad daylight. David said to Nathan, I stand guilty before our Father in heaven. And Nathan replied to David, our Father in heaven has remitted your sin. You shall not die. However, since you have spurned the enemies of our Father in heaven by this deed, even a child about to be born to you shall die. Nathan went home, and our Father in heaven afflicted the child that Uriah's wife had born to David, and it became critically ill. David entreated Elohim for the boy. David fasted, and he went in and spent the night lying. David fasted, and he went in and spent the night lying on the ground. The senior servants of his household tried to induce him to get up from the ground, but he refused, nor would he partake of food with them. On the seventh day, the child died. David's servants were afraid to tell David that the child was dead, for they said, we spoke to him when the child was alive, and he wouldn't listen to us. How can we tell him that the child is dead? He might do something terrible. When David saw his servants talking in whispers, David understood that the child was dead. David asked his servants, is the child dead? Yes, they replied. Thereupon David arose from the ground. He bathed and anointed himself, and he changed his clothes. He went into the house of our Father in heaven and prostrated himself. Then he went home and asked for food, which they set before him, and he ate. His courtiers asked him, why have you acted in this manner? While the child was alive, you fasted and wept, but now that the child is dead, you rise and take food. He replied, while the child was still alive, I fasted and wept because I thought, who knows, our Father in heaven may have pity on me and the child may live. But now that he is dead, why should I fast? Can I bring him back again? I shall go to him, but he will never come back to me. David consoled his wife Bathsheba. He went to her and lay with her. She bore a son, and she named him Solomon. Our Father in heaven favored him, and he sent a message through the prophet Nathan, and he was named Jedediah at the instance of our Father in heaven. Joab attacked Rabbah of Ammon and captured the royal city. Joab sent messengers to David and said, I have attacked Rabbah, and I have already captured the water city. Now muster the rest of the troops and besiege the city and capture it. Otherwise I will capture the city myself, and my name will be connected with it. David mustered all the troops and marched on Ramah, and he attacked it and captured it. The crown was taken from the head of their king, and it was placed on David's head. It weighed a talent of gold, and on it were precious stones. He also carried off a vast amount of treasure from the city. He led out the people who lived there and set them to work with saws, iron threshing boards, and iron axes, or assigned them to brick making. David did this to all the towns of Ammon. Then David and all the troops returned to Jerusalem. May our Father, Messiah, and Holy Spirit be with us. I love you all, brothers and sisters. I just had to finish that story out because that's just an amazing story, Well, I just showed you about, just real life, and it's a beautiful day, brothers and sisters. I love the scenery out here, and I pray that you all just enjoy your lives, and just praise our Father, Messiah, and Holy Spirit, and thank Him for everything that He's doing for you. If you're watching this right now, just thank Him for allowing you to be breathing. May our Father, Messiah, and Holy Spirit be with us. I love you all. Have a beautiful and blessed day. Amen.